Welcome to this episode of the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. This is Anil Patel, founder and CEO of Hotwise Commerce. In this podcast, we discuss e-commerce, omnichannel technology, pre-order management, brick and mortar operations, retail culture, innovation, and how all these elements come together to create customer-centric retailing. Join us to hear the brightest minds in the retail industry share their experiences and thoughts on the most relevant topics today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode of Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. Today, we have with us Amy Carr, Chief Marketing and Digital Officer at ThirdLove. Hey, Amy, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Excited to have you as our guest today. It's going to be an amazing conversation. Cool, cool. You know, Amy, already being chief marketing officer is already a lot of work. Now you have two hats, marketing and digital officer. I'm sure you have something special. I'm sure you got a lot going on and you learned a lot all over the journey. So, before we get started, I want to ask you to please tell us about your journey, starting from early days to how you prepared yourself, to be so skilled, so organized, so strong to take two hats and be the marketing and digital officer at the same time.
Yeah, no, I had a really interesting career path. I love the analogy of your career as a jungle gym, not a ladder. And I would say that definitely applies in my case. I actually started my career out of undergrad in accounting, in the audit industry, which turns out is a really good way to learn a lot of different business practices. But it definitely wasn't my passion, I guess is the right word. And so I went back to business school at the University of Chicago and got my MBA in finance, entrepreneurship, and marketing. I still, I guess, couldn't decide what I wanted to do and left business school and went to work for Gap Inc., which was a great, great opportunity for me to really understand and to learn and understand retail in all of its aspects. And from there, I got to work in different functions. So, finance, in strategy, in e commerce, in CRM and marketing. I dabbled in the credit card business. I helped them launch a store that they don't have anymore that got shut down. But I got a lot of really unique experiences and got to work through different organizations within Gap Inc. and settled in really in this, at the time, kind of new and interesting function around analytical marketing. And so, and CRM and really using data, which leveraged my financial skills, and marketing, which leveraged the other side of my brain, and really enjoyed that. So, spent a number of years there, got to be part of the e-commerce build that they did, which was really fun and exciting. And then I left Gap for another big company, Sephora, to help them build CRM and personalization and really rethink how marketing came to life in how the customer experience came to life. So that was really fun. Learned a new industry. Beauty is very different than apparel. And then I left Sephora to actually start my own brand, which my own beauty brand. And I did that for a number of years. And that was probably the one area where I got to work in every function and got to really see a lot of unique, I had a lot of unique experiences because I was, dabbling in building a company. I wasn't dabbling, I was dabbling in every function. I was building a company with my co-founder and really got a good sense of the customer, really got a good sense of how the customer wants to experience things. Um, and then, ended up with this really unique role here at ThirdLove, running marketing and digital, which does marry kind of both sides of my passions. And, they are one and the same because when you're thinking about digital marketing and for ThirdLove, which is largely a D2C company, it really fuels the e-commerce platform. So that's my interesting, unique journey. It's probably not super normal, but I think that's how careers are built.
Yeah, yeah, and really, I like what you've done because you started on a really strong footing, with a lot of good schooling behind and to back you with all those fundamentals, and definitely, your earlier experience in finance and all those crunching numbers and making sure that we are making money, business is not losing money. That's like a very important, yeah. Otherwise, like it's easy, you could be in marketing, may not realize if your dollar is making anything, the dollar you are spending, if it's making or anything or not. But really, your start in the finance and then going back and doing like a foundation of marketing with the MBA, that is like a really really good to build upon. And then what could be better than having that experience at Gap. I like that part, and in fact, Sephora is really good because they have done. I'm sure you've been like a big part of it. That they have some of the really good digital e-commerce and digital and all that integrated. So omni-channel journeys and getting all those customer consistent experience and all that. They are really good at it, and they are a lot of times they are quoted as a case study. But then the yeah, but then of all these three, I would rate the top is your journey as founder of your own company. I mean, like that is nothing beats it actually because you actually do pretty much anything and everything that has to be done in a company, right?
Yes, you do. The buck stops with you, so to say, right?
That's like real 360-degree exposure. Even though you've worked on various roles and actually you really know what money does and where to spend money and how to get ROI on it and everything. But really, the challenges, day in day out challenges that founder sees or experiences and resolves, works on and figures out, that is like just amazing. So you know yeah, this is like you have really really good experience, knowledge to work with this complicated, really really very wide ranged job responsibility with the marketing and digital and both. So yeah, congratulations. And I'm like, wow, impressed that how much you have with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. So you know what? Actually, building a brand, and in today's days, when marketing in digital is so much different than it used to be before, because like at some point it was just spending money on ads, but today you have like so many different ways how you do your marketing. And then on top of it, when you say digital officer, can you tell us more about your responsibilities and how you get these two functions to work together to get best return on your investments?
Yeah, I think the return on investment is really tricky because, today you can really measure, quote unquote, measure everything. And, you have to have all these different, channels. And when I say channels, I mean digital marketing channels working together in tandem. And, I like to say there's an art and a science to this because you really have to look at the data because it's hard to argue with data, but it's also everyone's taking credit for everything. So you have to kind of balance your gut and what you're seeing in the data, and then, play around with it a little bit. So, I think it is tricky on the return, but and I think most D2C companies are pretty maniacal on how you measure the spend. Um, it's different from 20 years ago where that data didn't really even exist. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yes, yes, definitely. Because like these days, like you said, I like that part that you have all this data, but you cannot just go purely by data, right? Because then all this experience you have that builds your gut, and then finally is the art and science, and that's like 80/20 rule kind of thing. And but like sometimes that 20% of gut actually says you do certain thing, and data may be saying exactly opposite of that, and but you still do it, and you see that there's really good results on it, right?
Correct.
Really good, yeah. So like there's one side is marketing, but then you have all this responsibility of digital officer going with it. So how do you where do you draw the line that this is my marketing and this is my chief digital officer, and what are those responsibilities? How do you define that part?
I mean, I have different teams that focus on different practices. So, I have an e-commerce lead that's really focusing on the digital side, on the e-commerce and what the revenue is looking like and how the customer is working through the experience of our e-commerce platform. And then I have different teams that focus on the marketing. Um, Not just the digital marketing, which is obviously the bulk of our spend, but then also what we call the brand marketing, which is how we come to life through things that aren't measurable, partnerships and organic social, which is really hard to measure. Um, Maybe big events that we might do, also really hard to measure. And so, I have different people that, and then I have a CRM team, which, obviously focuses really on the retention of our customers, the acquisition and retention of our customers. So, um, that's how we do it. And you know, I think that's a pretty common way to look at it in the D2C space. It's tricky though.
Yeah, definitely, because you have so many different roles working with you, and everyone has their own challenges, and always there is some kind of a balance we have to strike. Also, there is some kind of a tension going on between, because like one party is providing services to other party and all that, and so yeah.
Well, and content, I think the biggest challenge today is content. And so how do you get enough content fast enough? I mean, social media has completely changed. It's no longer a photo shoot, right? And so, I remember back in the days of Gap, we do these huge photo shoots. We get great assets. They were beautiful, and that's what you used in all the marketing. And today that it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There's all this crowdsourced content, and then all these micro influencers, and there's like a lots of those things going on, right?
Right.
Yeah. So like in this time when we're talking about you have those physical retail, which definitely is necessity, but then you have this e-com, and then the challenge of bringing those together, because for customer you are one company, right? They don't see e-com and retail locations as a separate entities. So that's where it becomes really challenging. So tell us about your strategies on how you leverage both digital and your store locations, especially in the competitive market today.
Yeah, we only have 7 stores, so 7 company-owned stores. We also are in other locations through wholesale relationships with, companies like Neiman Marcus. And it is tricky controlling the customer experience to mirror what we might have online, but we do spend a lot of time training and working with our store employees and really, thinking about how we bring the digital experience to life. For example, we have a very unique fitting room experience in the digital space, a digital fitting room. And so, how do we bring a real fitting experience? Because we sell mostly bras and underwear, intimates for women. And how do you bring that same experience to life and, in a physical retail space? So, a lot of it's training, a lot of it's thinking about what we can leverage across 2 channels and share creative assets and creative experiences. Um, and then, it's just, I live near the store, so I'm in the store all the time, which I think helps. Just being present and popping in and, and getting feedback. We don't today do buy online, pick up in store. We would like to at some point. We don't have the infrastructure right now to do that, but we do make it very simple for her to return her online purchases in store, which is, a must have in this environment.
Yeah, that's true. But it is interesting, Amy. Generally, I'm not, I have never been a store operation, so I don't have any real physical retail experience at all. But generally, my perception would be that delivering experience in the physical world, like at the store, would be much easier, and you could deliver. But you said exactly opposite of that. That's really, something interesting, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we did have done such a great job of bringing this, what is traditionally a physical experience, onto the digital platform, that when we went the other way and went into stores, we wanted to make sure we mirrored a really, you know, great experience for our customer, because it can be a really private one too. You're measuring for a bra that is a very personal and private experience. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Right. So, like, definitely, that's interesting. So, in your marketing space, you have a lot of impact of social media and your, brand visibility in that and all that. So, tell us more about, like, how do you leverage social media for your marketing strategies, and then all these content that you create and getting a distribution, all that. Tell us, like, because it is getting challenging all these times.
It is challenging, and I'd say this is one area where we are looking to do better. I think it's really tricky in how we have all, people creating content for us. You can't control it. So that feels a little, there's a little bit of a control issue here. But, I think thinking through a really strategic approach of what each channel's purpose is. And so social media is to be social. And so you have to let it be social. Um, and then you have to think about how you're getting that content and holding on to it and using it in other areas that make sense. And like I said, I think this is one area where I've probably, and I've just over a year now been the leading this at ThirdLove. I think this is one area that we still have work to do, because it's evolving and it's changing on a constant basis. And I look to things like, we haven't had a huge presence in TikTok, and that is one area where we're leaning heavily into today to try to think through, what do we want TikTok to be, and what types of content creators do we need, and is that the same or different as Pinterest or social or Instagram or Facebook? Um, and it's probably different. So it's a organizational challenge, and it's also a content creation. I don't, a challenge, so to say.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, and then also it is so evolving so fast. Some because like we've seen this TikTok and then all this, reels, and then has just picked up so fast in the last 2 3 years. It did not even exist until then, and all of a sudden it's all over everywhere, and all it has such a big impact on business.
Yeah, and it bleeds into other channels. So if we see something that's working really well on Instagram or TikTok, then how do you take that and repurpose it into other marketing channels? Or the other way around, we've done TV. TV is changing. It's no longer these polished TV commercials that are super editorial. Now they look and feel a lot more like TikTok. So, it's sort of bleeding across the channels. Um, and we have a decentralized content practice. So we do get content from all sorts of different places. And really then the idea is, like, how do you appropriately leverage them?
Yeah, that's true. And I think, I've so far what I understand is that your company is so much digital first, right? That I believe in the competition in the market space, uh, even though you think there's so much more to do, I'm sure you are way ahead of many other companies in the same space.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, because like this is interesting also, like these companies that are digital first companies, when they start opening up stores, they initially, I don't know, but I think there must be resistance against opening up the store, because digital they have mastered, and then expanding these stores and how much to go for, how many more stores we should open, and all that. So, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think? One, how the decision to add digital, physical stores, how good was that? And then, what do you think? Do you need to go really big on it, or you want to go really measured, or maybe be very conservative? How do you see it? And yeah, and I'm sure it will have some impact on marketing and all that. So, what do you think from that side?
I'm bullish on stores. I wasn't here at ThirdLove when they made the decision to go into stores, so I can't really comment on that. But I do think the customer post COVID, there was a return to the physical locations. She was largely sick of shopping online. Um, and so, I think it's a very complimentary place for us to be. I think, not just our own company owned stores, but also in other retail stores, because, she wants to a lot of times touch and feel the product. And I do think, especially in the bras space, she'd probably, there are customers that won't ever probably engage in the digital fitting room, or trying on, getting a fitting of a very personal thing like a bra online. So this is another way for us to reach those audiences.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. In fact, I like what you said that you're bullish on the physical retail because for sure we all want to go out and shop because it's part of our life. It's a part of our experience we want to have in our life. So for sure that is there. At the same time, I like that because like in my conversations with various retailers, this is something very common. They tell us that when they open retail locations, in fact business not only they make money on the or revenues on their stores, but also their digital sales in that region
100%.
increases. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you lift the whole market because you get the awareness, and then they might not go into your store, but they see it, and then they get curious, and then they look the store up online, and then so all things rise.
Right, right, right. Because, like, store as a media is another conversation that definitely is someday we should have because that's there. Your store is your billboard, and it's a showroom, and all those, fun ideas kick in once you have your store in certain market space. Yeah. So yeah, definitely, also like with your physical retail, and definitely you also have a really good digital and like you said, fitting room experience. So customer experience is like a really important, and with all these digital and then physical retail, you are delivering your customer experience, and particularly in your case, because the product is so intimate that people really want to try it out. So what do you think about like post purchase, like when the customer has purchased, in the post purchase case, like tell us about your brand loyalty, how you plan on going for that, and what you do today, what's working, what's not working, and all that.
Yes, I think overall, obviously the customer experience starts before post purchase. It really starts in the acquisition phase, and we are using a lot of analytics to understand how she's moving through that customer journey. And why, it's for us, it started with research on why she needs to buy. Why do you buy bras and underwear? Who's buying it? What are these triggers? And then how do we get her to the site? And when she lands on the site, like I said, this great fitting room experience coupled with a very easy shopping experience. And then if, hopefully she converts, we're looking at the analytics at every point in that journey to see what are the opportunities, where she's falling off, which I think is fairly standard practice now in D2C brands to really understand um, where she's coming in and out of that journey. And then once, she gets into this post-purchase experience, how do we teach her about the product? What does she need to know? How do we, provide a really nice experience, be it a really long return window? So if she's not satisfied, she can exchange it, or giving her education on how to care for her products, how to wash them properly. all the way down to it's time to replace them, and really being that expert opinion in the product, all the way through, and then trying to think through, okay, if you like this product, now how do we get you, maybe you bought bras, now, how do we get you to try our really high quality underwear? And then, coming soon, we're really going to think about how we reward you. We are launching a new loyalty program here shortly, a couple weeks. So, how do we reward you for that loyalty and keep you as a long-term customer? Our purchase cycle is long, so there is a lot of moments for us to touch her before she actually purchases again.
Yeah, makes sense. And in fact, your product is sticky because this is something really personal, and people, once they get comfortable with one thing, then it's sticky. They don't move on that easily, right? In fact, I like what you said, that even post purchase, while helping through the purchasing process, also in the post purchase, helping them take care of the product and make the decision that when it's time to change and all that. It's important because that's one, it's helps you keep in constant touch with the customers, so they keep experiencing the company. They feel that they are part of the community, you care for them, and that definitely keeps those customers engaged, and that's why they want to come back.
Yeah, that's our goal. We want her to think
No.
of us first when she needs to replace or replenish, or, refer a friend, tell her friends. So how do we reward you for that too?
Right, right, right. And definitely, the reward programs really work well because that again, it's part of that whole relationship that we are taking care of you, and there are a few ways of doing that, and reward program is one of the big one for that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So in our conversation today, definitely you clearly mentioned many times that you use data a lot. I'm sure you are capturing a lot of data, you are cleansing it, keeping it properly so that it can be used for whatever the purposes you want it to be. So there's a lot going on these days in the AI world, machine learning, and all that. So tell us about what do you think about it, and how are you using it for personalization or some kind of in this whole pre and post purchase program? Have you tried all these new technologies that are going on, and yeah, see how it works? Because for me, it's like still even though I'm in tech, I'm still like not there. Like I'm still like, okay, is it real? Other than ChatGPT?
I have a quote that I like to say in my office quite a bit, and I actually use this with my children. We can do anything, but we can't do everything. I heard it a lot when I was at Gap, and I apply it to work and my life. We can do anything. We can try this technology, we can try that technology, but it all comes at the expense of something else. And so, we do use a lot of technology. We are bombarded by tech firms trying to sell us their latest and greatest tiny little piece of the puzzle here. And so we really have to think carefully when we're using different technology platforms and what that means. And so, I think like most companies, we really vet them. Do we need it? Is it incremental? How much does it cost? Um, and we try to really pare down to the things that are important to the customer journey that will drive incremental sales, that are not going to be such a huge technical lift that we take out all the other projects that we're working on at the same time. So, um, it's a balancing game for us. I think we use right now, I'm always looking at our marketing tech stack, always, weekly, to see if there's something we need that's different. But right now, I think we have a really good solution. There's obviously ways to improve it, and we'll be changing up our technology over the next year, in different areas. But there's a lot out there. There's a lot of, especially in a Shopify experience, which we are on, there's a lot of Shopify apps that, we may or may not be, want to put on our site. So it's balancing act. Um, we think we have the right balance right now, but I'm sure 6 months from now there'll be something else that we'll move to.
No, that's true because again, we are technology is evolving so fast.
So
Things are
fast.
changing. Yeah, yeah. So really, we had a really good conversation. So before I end this conversation, because of all the good work things I know you talked about today, there's something I really want to do. Is I'm personally myself running this whole startup, so I get to meet a lot of startups and who are either in the tech or in the B2C space, and also then I work with a lot of young enthusiastic people who want to start their own business. So really what I want to do is like, do you give us piece of advice for these people who are striving to establish their brand so that they can make significant impact in, because like market today is really competitive. So we are looking. Yeah, so tell us what is it that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to be solving a unique problem, and you have to stand behind your differentiator and really be able to articulate that in a very clear and compelling way to a customer. Um, and then, the other thing I would say is, so once you've established like you're solving a unique problem, you can clearly articulate it, then really thinking about how you lean into the emotional, because I've seen a lot of companies fight on what I would say are features and benefits. And the only way you win on features and benefits is by fighting actually on price. And so you have to be able to lean into that emotional problem you are solving so that you don't have to fight in the on features and benefits, because somebody will come out with another thing, the next thing that takes on whatever features and benefits you have. So my only advice really is to solve this unique problem that has emotional benefits beyond the tactical ones. Um, and then, like I said, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So prioritization for new companies is absolutely key.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to have this exact thing captured as a separate click, and I'm going to keep playing on our TV in our offices, like because this is a really really very good advice, and people need it, and particularly coming from you who has done so much in their life and are running such a good business and having playing such an important role. It's important that one, you have to solve something really meaningful for someone, and then if it is meaningful to someone, I'm sure it has a lot of emotional value, or it has that significant emotional value like you said, which should be why they would pay for. And then the third one, like you said, in our life we have so many things to do and we can't do everything. So right now we have to pick one today to do it. So prioritization is key to success.
Is key. Yeah. And have fun. Surround yourself with great people, do what you love, work with good people. I can't speak highly enough of the founders of ThirdLove, and I love coming to work with them every day, and I love the team that we have in the office. I just love the people I work with. So
Awesome. This is great. Cool, Amy. Thank you very much for your time. And it was really fun conversation. Yeah. So, I'm sure our audience is going to love this episode and they're really going to get a lot of value out of it. Thank you very much for your time.
great. Yes, it was lovely to meet you.
That's it for this episode of the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Please rate and review and recommend to a friend or a fellow retail fanatic. This podcast is presented by Hotworks Commerce.